कृपया गुरुं तं नमस्ते। हे गुरु ज्ञानदादीन सिंधु स्वानंद दाता करुणैक सिंधु वृंदावस हितावतार प्रसीद राधा प्रणय प्रचार। हे दीनबंधु प्रणैक सिंधु गुरु प्रसादं मयि मंदमुग्धे लक्षापराधे पापकारे तत्पादपद्मे सुमतिश्च कृष्णे। यद्यपि अमर गुरु चैतन्य हृदा तथापि जानियामि ताहार प्रकाश। गुरु कृष्ण रूपे है शास्त्र प्रमाणे गुरु रूपे कृष्ण कृपा करे भक्त गणे। शिक्षा गुरु के तो जानी कृष्णेर स्वरूप अंतर्यामी भक्त शिष्ट ए रूप। अंतर्बहिस्तनुभृतं सुधां आचार्य चित्त स्वगति anakti. Without serving the representative of Krishna, nobody can approach Krishna. I bow down to the beautiful lotus feet of my spiritual master, by whose causeless mercy I have obtained the supreme holy name, the divine mantra, the service of the son of Sachimata, the association of Srila Sarup Damodar, Rupa Goswami, and his elder brother Sanatan Goswami, the supreme abode of Mathura, the blissful abode of Vrindavana, the divine Radha Kunda and Govardhan Hill, and the desire within my heart for the loving service of Sri Radhika and Madhava in Vrindavan. O spiritual master, O giver of divine wisdom, O friend of the fallen, you are the giver of your own bliss and you are the only ocean of mercy. Although dwelling in Vrindavan, you have descended for the welfare of fallen souls like myself, and you are preaching the divine love of Radha and Krishna. Please be kind upon me. O friend of the lowly, O Gurudev, you are the only ocean of mercy. I am a dull fool and have committed hundreds and thousands of offences. I have fallen into a dense myriad of sins. Therefore, grace me with your mercy so that my mind may be fixed on your lotus feet and on Sri Krishna. Although I know that my spiritual master is a servitor of Sri Chaitanya, I know him also as a plenary manifestation of the Lord. Except from purport, every living entity is eternally a servant of Sri Krishna Chaitanya. Therefore, the spiritual master cannot be other than a servant of Lord Chaitanya. The spiritual master's eternal occupation is to expand the service of the Lord by training disciples in a service attitude. According to the deliberate opinion of the revealed scriptures, the spiritual master is non-different from Krishna. Lord Krishna in the form of the spiritual master delivers his devotees. From purport, the relationship of a disciple with his spiritual master is as good as his relationship with the Supreme Lord. Spiritual masters always represent themselves as the humblest servitors of the personality of Godhead. But the disciple must look upon the spiritual master as the manifested representation of Godhead. One should know the instructing spiritual master to be the personality of Krishna. Lord Krishna manifests himself as the super soul and as the greatest devotee of the Lord from the Godward. The initiating spiritual master is a personal manifestation of Srila Madan Mohan Vigraha, whereas the instructing spiritual master is a personal representative of Srila Govinda Deva Vigraha. O my Lord, transcendental poets and experts in spiritual science could not fully express their indebtedness to you, even if they were endowed with the prolonged lifetime of a Brahma. For you appear in two features, externally as the Acharya and internally as the Super Soul, to deliver the embodied living being by directing them how to come to you. The lotus feet of our spiritual master are the only way by which we can attain pure devotional service. I bow to his lotus feet with great awe and reverence. By his grace, one can cross the ocean of material suffering and obtain the mercy of Krishna. Our only wish is to have our consciousness purified by the words emanating from his lotus mouth. Attachment to his lotus feet is the perfection that fulfills all desires. He opens our darkened eyes and fills our hearts with transcendental knowledge. He is our Lord, birth after birth. From him, ecstatic prema emanates. By him, ignorance is destroyed. The Vedic scriptures sing of his character. Our spiritual master is the ocean of mercy, the friend of the poor, and the Lord and the master of the devotees. O Master, be merciful unto us. Give us the shade of your lotus feet. Your fame is spread all over the three worlds. Jai Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada. Jai Prabhupada, Jaya Srila Prabhupada. Jai Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Jaya Srila. Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakati Sadma Vandamoe Savadhana Mate जहाँ प्रसादे भाई ए भवत रिया कृष्ण प्राप्ति है जहाँ होइते गुरुमुख पादमा वाक्या चित्त कोरिया गुरु चरण रति ऐसे उत्तम गति जय प्रसाद पूरे सर्व आशा दान दिला जय जन्म जन्म प्रभु से चक्षुदान दिला जय जन्म जन्म प्रभु से दिव्य ज्ञान हृदय प्रकाशित प्रेम भक्ति जहाँ होते अविद्या न सजते वेद गाय जहाँ रचरित श्री गुरु करुणा सिंधु अधम Shri Guru Karuna Sindhu Adhama Janara Bandhu Shri Guru Karuna Sindhu Adhama Janara Bandhu Lokanath Lokera Jivana Ha ha Prabhu Karo Daya De Hamare Pad Chaya Ha ha Prabhu Karo Daya De Hamare Pad Chaya Ha ha Prabhu Karo Daya De Hamare Pad Chaya He Vedas Pushuk Tribhuvana Srila Prabhupada Patita Pavana Tua Pade Lailu Sharana Jaya Prabhupada Praya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Gurudev 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 Jai Gurudev जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की श्रील प्रभुपाद गुरु पूजा की नमो विष्णु पदाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिने Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Sitaram, 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 Sitaram. Sitaram, 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 Sitaram. Sitaram, 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 Sitaram. Sitaram, 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 Sitaram. जय राधा मदन मोहन राधा मदन मोहन श्री राधे जय राधा मदन मोहन राधा मदन मोहन श्री राधे जय महाप्रभु जय महाप्रभु जय महाप्रभु जय महाप्रभु जय लक्ष्मी नरसिंह जय लक्ष्मी नरसिंह जय लक्ष्मी नरसिंह जय लक्ष्मी नरसिंह जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय प्रभुपाद प्रभुपाद Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Gurudev. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaur Hari Bol. Nitai Gaurango, Nitai Gaurango. Nitai Gaurango, Nitai Gaurango. Nitai Gaurango, Gaur Hari. Jai Sachinandana, Jai Sachinandana. Jai Sachinandana, Jai Sachinandana. Jai Sachinandana, Gaura Hari. Gaura, Gaura, Gaura Hari. Gaura, Gaura, Gaur Hari. Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Gaur Hare. Patita Pavana Gaur Hare, Patita Pavana Gaur Hare. Gaura Gaura Gaur Hare, 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 Gaura Gaura Gaur Hare. Nitai 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 Gauranga, Nitai 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 Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga Gaur Hare, Nitai Gauranga Gaur Hare, Gaura Gaura Gaur Hare, Gaura Gaura Gaur Hare, Gaura Gaura Gaur Hare. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol.
Govindam Adipurusham Namaham Bhajami. Govindam Adipurusham Namaham Bhajami.
जसमति नंदन ब्रजवरनागर गोकुल रंजन काना गोपीपरानधन मदन मनोहर कालिया दमन विधाना माला हरिनाम में अभिलाष विपिन पुरंदर नवीन नगर बर वंशी बदन सुवास ब्रज जन पालना सुरकुलना सना नंद गोधन रखवाला गोविंद माधव नवनीत तस्कर सुंदर नंद गोपाला जमुना तट चर गोपी बसन हर रास रसिक कृपा माया श्री राधा वल्लभ वृंदावन नटवर भक्ति विनोदाश्रय जसमति नंदन ब्रजवरनागर गोकुल रंजन काना हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Sita Ram 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 Jaya Radha Madan Mohan Radha Madan Mohan Shri Radhe Jaya Mahaprabhu Jaya Mahaprabhu Jaya Mahaprabhu Jaya Mahaprabhu Jaya Lakshmi Narasingha Jaya Lakshmi Narasingha Jaya Lakshmi Narasingha Jaya Lakshmi Narasingha Jai Jai Prabhupada 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 Jai Prabhupada Jai Jai Gurudev 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 Jai Gurudev Jai Namo Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajakacha Stottar Shatya Srimad Abhay Charanaravind Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada ki ISKCON Deputy Founder Acharya Jagat Guru Savior of the whole world Srila Prabhupada ki Jai Namo Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajakacha Stottar Shatya Srimad His Divine Grace Shri Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Shri Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gop Gopinath Shyam Kunda Radha Kunda Giriraj Govardhan ki Vrindavan Mathura Dham ki Navadvip Mayapur Dham ki Purushottam Khetra Shri Jagannath Puri Dham ki Shri Ayodhya Dham ki Shri Ram Lakshman Sita Hanuman ki Shri Ram Navami Maha Mahotsav ki Shri Ram Navami Maha Mahotsav ki Shri Ram Navami Maha Mahotsav ki Ganga Jamuna Mai ki Bhakti Pradayani Devi Tulsi Maharani ki Samveta Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki Nitai Gaura Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga, all glories to the Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna. Happy Shri Navami. I only have a USB-C. Hare Krishna. We'll sing a short prayer that was sung by Lord Chaitanya that glorifies Sri Ram. Krishna, 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 Hey. 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 Krishna Keshava, Krishna Kesava, Krishna Kesava, Pahi Mam. Krishna Kesava, Krishna Kesava, Krishna Kesava, Pahi Mam. Krishna Kesava, Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava, Pahi Mam. Kesava, Krishna Kesava, Krishna Kesava, Pahi Mam. Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Raksha Mam. Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Raksha Mam. Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Raksha Mam. Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Raksha Mam. Krishna, 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 Hey. Krishna, 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 Hey. Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava, Pahi Mam. Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava, Pahi Mam. Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Raksha Mam. Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Raksha Mam. Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Raksha Mam. Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Raksha Mam. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Sita Ram, Jaya Lakshman Hanuman, Jaya Sita Ram, Jaya Lakshman Hanuman, Jaya लक्ष्मण हनुमान जय सीताराम जय लक्ष्मण हनुमान जय जय सीताराम जय लक्ष्मण हनुमान जय सीताराम जय लक्ष्मण हनुमान जय लक्ष्मण हनुमान जय सीताराम जय लक्ष्मण हनुमान जय जय राधा मदन मोहन श्री राधे मदन मोहन राधा मदन मोहन श्री राधे जय महाप्रभु जय महाप्रभु जय महाप्रभु जय महाप्रभु जय जय गौराणिताय जय गौराणिताय जय गौराणिताय जय गौराणिताय जय लक्ष्मी नरसिंह जय लक्ष्मी नरसिंह जय लक्ष्मी नरसिंह जय लक्ष्मी नरसिंह जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा शिला प्रभुपदा जय गुरुदेवा जय गुरुदेवा जय गुरुदेवा शिला गुरुदेवा नित्य गौर हरि बोल नित्य गौर हरि बोल जय ओम विश्वपाद परमहंस नित लीला प्रविष्ट परिविराजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्री श्रीमद हिस्टविंगेश अभयचनानंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी शील प्रभुपाद की जय ISKCON फाउंडर आचार्य शील प्रभुपाद की जय अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय श्री श्री सीताराम लक्ष्मण हनुमान की जय श्री रामनवमी महोत्सव की जय All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories, all glories, all glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Hare Krishna. Thank you all for coming again this auspicious morning on the appearance day of Lord Sri Ramachandra. We'll sing the Mangalacharan prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Ena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Ena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavangsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tang Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitangsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Bhancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. You're able to see the screen? So we'll recite this verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam and then read a few sections from the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita and other scriptures where Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda glorify Sri Ramachandra's pastimes. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 9, Chapter 10, Text 4. Guruvarte tyakta rajyo vyacharad anuvanam padma padbyam priyaya pani sparshakshamabhyam mrijita pata rujoyo harindra anujabhyam vairupyachurpanakya priyaviraharusharopita bhruvijrimba trashtadbir baddha setu kaladavadahana koshalendro vatanaha. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. To keep the promise of his father intact, Lord Ramachandra immediately gave up the position of king and, accompanied by his wife, Mother Sita, wandered from one forest to another on his lotus feet, which were so delicate that they were unable to bear even the touch of Sita's palms. The Lord was also accompanied by Hanuman, or by another monkey, Sugriva, king of the monkeys, and by his own younger brother, Lord Lakshman, both of whom gave him relief from the fatigue of wandering in the forest. Having cut off the nose and ears of Surpanaka, thus disfiguring her, the Lord was separated from Mother Sita. He therefore became angry, moving his eyebrows and thus frightening the ocean, who then allowed the Lord to construct a bridge to cross the ocean. Subsequently, the Lord entered the kingdom of Ravana to kill him, like a fire devouring a forest. May the Supreme Lord Ramachandra give us all protection. Jai Shri Ram. So there's some purport here. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Shrimate Indradimna Swaminita Namane Nama Prabhupada Priyadasaya Jagannathe Achanandamurte Bhakta Sukhaya Krishnodkirtanena Narshingena Rakshitaya Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminita Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarane. So this is called Ramayana in one shloka. So they say sometimes, like when we ship servers in software, we call server in a box. The entire server is in one box. Like that, there's the entire Rama in one verse. His Grace Radhika Raman Prabhu, when he was giving a lecture here, he was mentioning why Shukadeva Goswami skips over all the details and just condenses it into one verse. He was saying Ramayana was so popular. So everybody at Maharaj Parikshit already knew all the details and time was short. So he just summarized the entire Ramayana in just a few verses. And then, but later on in this chapter you see, Shukadeva Goswami spends a lot of time talking about how Bharat received him in Ayodhya and the mood. So he was explaining how Srimad Bhagavatam is all about the relationship of the Lord and his devotees. Prabhu, there's a lot of feedback. So he was saying, if Shukadeva Goswami wanted to justify the how much details are there in the Ramayana. He would have probably spent a lot more on the actual details of the pastime. But his mood was to glorify the relationship between the Lord and his devotees, which is what Bhagavatam is about. How wonderful and how sweet that relationship is. So he spends inordinate amount of verses later on talking about how Bharat received him in Ayodhya. Whereas he condenses the entire Ramayana into these couple of verses here. So this shows how much importance it's giving. The Bhagavatam is giving to the bhav of the devotees. So it's not so much about the stories, it's not so much about the details, even though in many places those are also there. This is the point Radhikaraman Prabhu was saying. In any pastime, if you look at where the Bhagavatam stops and spends the most amount of time, it's all about that bhav or the relationship. That sometimes, many times, there will be prayers. He says, like, we'll be trying to skip the prayers and move on to the plot because that's where our interest is. But he says the entire Bhagavatam, all the plot is so that you hear the mood of the prayer and then imbibe the mood and develop a relationship with Lord like that. So that's why here everything is condensed. But later on, the mood of the devotees with the Lord is where the focus of the Bhagavatam is. So there are quite a few pastimes of the Lord. We are followers of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, so we see quite a bit of pastimes of Lord Ram happening even within the Chaitanya Charitamrita. I was researching about those and came across a few sections, so we can spend some time reading about those in the next 40 minutes. So this is from the Nityananda Charitamrita. I'll increase the zoom in a minute. So this is the pastime where Lord Nityananda, as a young boy, along with his associates, enacts the various pastimes of various incarnation of the Lord. So here this particular section is about the Ramayana pastimes. One day Lord Nityananda enacted the pastime of building a bridge across the ocean with the boys. Sorry, this font is not good to read. Okay. If it's hard to read, you can just hear. One day Lord Nityananda enacted the pastime of building a bridge across the ocean with the boys, playing the role of monkeys. They cut castor plants and made a bridge across the water. Then all the boys shouted, Jai Raghunath. Lord Nityananda, taking the role of Lakshman with a bow in his hand, went in anger to rebuke Sugriva. O king of the monkeys, my lord is in distress. Come quickly, or I'll kill you. How can you sit here enjoying with women while Lord Ramachandra is lamenting on Malayavan mountain? Another day, Lord Nityananda spoke in anger to Parashuram. O Brahmana, I am not at fault. Leave here at once. Lord Nityananda was thus absorbed in the mood of Lakshman. The boys, unable to understand this, thought it was just a game. Another time, the boys took the role of 5 monkeys, and the Lord took the role of Lakshman. Who are you monkeys wandering in the forest? I am the servant of Lord Ramachandra. Please tell me who you are. They replied, we are wandering in fear of Bali. Please take us to Lord Ramachandra. We wish to take the dust of his lotus feet. The Lord embraced them and led them to Lord Ramachandra, where they all fell at his feet. Once the Lord enacted the pastime of killing Indrajit, the son of Ravana. Another day, in the mood of Lakshman, he accepted defeat. they brought someone in the role of Vibhishan before Lord Ramachandra, and Lord Ram crowned him as the king of Lanka. One boy said, "I am the mighty Ravana. Now I'll release the Shakti Shela weapon. Stop it if you can, Lakshman." Saying this, the boy threw a lotus flower at Lord Nityananda, who, in the mood of Lakshman, fell to the ground. After he fell unconscious, all the boys tried in vain to revive him. When they found no symptom of life in the body of Lord Nityananda, they all held their heads and cried. The Lord's father and mother came running there and saw their son without a sign of life. They too fell senseless to the ground. Everyone who saw this tragedy was struck with wonder. All the boys described the entire incident. As the boys described the entire incident, someone said, "I know why he's unconscious." Once a great actor played the role of Dasarath. Hearing that Ram had left for the forest, he left his body. Someone else said, "There is a boy dressed as Hanuman. If he gives him medicine, then he'll be cured." Before the play, the Lord had instructed his friends, "When I fall unconscious, you all surround me and cry. After a while, send Hanuman for some medicine. I will revive when he puts the medicine to my nose." The Lord fell unconscious by his own sweet will, but this bewildered all the boys. Since everyone there was so confused, they forgot the Lord's instructions. They simply cried loudly, "Oh brother, please get up." Hearing people's comments, the boys remembered Lord Nityananda's order. And the boy dressed as Hanuman immediately went for the medicine. Another boy dressed as a renunciate welcomed Hanuman with fruits and roots. He said to Hanuman, "My dear sir, please stay and grace my ashram. It's a wonderful fortune to meet such a person as you." Hanuman replied, "I must go and complete my important mission. I'd like to stay, but I cannot delay. You must have heard that Lakshman, younger brother of Lord Ramachandra, is unconscious from the Shakti Shela weapon of Ravana. I am on my way to Gandhamadana hill to bring medicine." Jai Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan ki jai, Shriman Mahaprabhu ki jai. "Only then he will survive." The renunciate then said, "If you must go, first take a bath and have something to eat. Then you may go." The two boys repeated whatever Lord Nityananda had instructed them. Everyone gazed at them in astonishment as they listened to their dialogue. On the request of the renunciate, Hanuman went to take a bath in the lake, where another boy in the lake grabbed hold of his feet. The boy played a crocodile, tried to pull Hanuman into the water, but Hanuman pulled the boy to the shore. After a short fight, Hanuman defeated the crocodile. On returning to the renunciate's ashram, Hanuman saw a mighty warrior. A boy dressed as a Rakshasa tried to swallow Hanuman. He challenged, "You defeated the crocodile, but how will you defeat me? I'll eat you. Then how will you revive Lakshman?" Hanuman replied, "You are Ravana's dog. Your Ravana is a dog. I think him most insignificant. Get out of my way." After first exchanging some harsh words, they began pulling each other's hair. Finally, they began striking each other with their fists. Swiftly defeating the demon, Hanuman went to the Gandhamadana hill. There he fought with some boys dressed as Gandharvas. Defeating the Gandharvas, Hanuman took the Gandhamadana hill on his head to Lanka. Another boy, playing a doctor, meditating on Lord Ram as he held the medicine to Lakshmana's nose. At that very moment, Lord Nityananda came to his senses. His parents and others all smiled in relief. Hadai Pandit embraced his son and all the boys were overjoyed. Everyone asked, "Dear son, where have you learned all these plays?" Smiling, the Lord said, "These are all my pastimes." So you can see how absorbed Lord Nityananda and the boys were in performing these pastimes. Srila Prabhupada called our society International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Right? So the essence of all of our activities, Krishna consciousness. I was just thinking the word consciousness is it's a little bit more mechanical name. In the Hindi, our society is called Antarashtriya Krishna Bhavanamrita Sangha. I was thinking how sweet that phrase is, Krishna Bhavanamrita. English doesn't even have equivalent words to capture that there's so much missing, you could say, that lost in translation. Right? Krishna Bhavanamrita. So it's all about the nectar of this bhav, or this mood of feelings for Krishna. That is the heart of everything we do. Many times we are focused on projects, we are focused on results, achieving all this, but ultimately all of it is meant to bring about this bhav in our heart and express that to the Lord and His devotees. So we should never forget that ultimate goal, which is what the essence of everything we do is. So we can learn from Lord Nityananda Prabhu how when they enact this pastime, it's not just a mechanical thing that, okay, the time is out and like that. He's actually absorbed in the pastime and actually fell unconscious. So it's not like he's playing the pastime, he's actually enacting it. And similarly, all the boys are like so devoted to their role, and they're actually enacting the pastimes, they're living the pastimes. So we see this theme in several other places as well. So this is what the lesson we can learn from these pastimes is, whatever we do in our daily services, we can ask ourselves how much are we doing mechanically versus how much we are actually absorbed in the mood and trying to please Krishna with the mood. That's why that Krishna Bhavanamrita is such a beautiful phrase that's capturing this mood. So this is from the Nityananda Charitamrita, first chapter. Now we'll go back to Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. It has again several sections. Again, the theme of all of this is how the devotees of the Lord are so devoted in that mood of service. So this is a section about interaction of Lord Chaitanya with Murari Gupta. Murari Guptera Prabhukari Alingana Tandra Bhakti Nishta Kahena Shone Bhaktagana. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then embraced Murari Gupta and began to speak about his firm faith in devotional service. This was heard by all the devotees. Purve Ami Inhara Lobaila Bara Bara Parama Madhura Gupta Vrajendra Kumara. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, previously I induced Murari Gupta again and again to be allured by Lord Krishna. I said to him, my dear Gupta, Lord Shri Krishna, Vrajendra Kumar is a supreme sweetness. So I was thinking our dear Premnam Prabhu is here. His legal name is Pulkit Gupta. So you can be so proud of your last name. It has been uttered by the mouth of Lord Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Right? So please give some extra respect to him. Swayam Bhagavan Krishna Sarvangshi Sarvashaya Vishuddha Nirmala Prema Sarvarasamaya. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the origin of all incarnations and the source of everything. He is pure transcendental love itself, and He is a reservoir of all pleasure. Sakala Sadguna Vrinda Ratna Ratnakara Vidagdha Chatura Dhira Rasika Shekara. Krishna is the reservoir of all transcendental qualities. He is like a mine of gems. He is expert at everything, very intelligent and sober. And He is the summit of all transcendental humors. Another wonderful name of one of our devotees, Rasika Shekhar Prabhu. He was heading the ISV Sankirtan department several years ago, and he passed away in an untimely manner. His picture is there on the hall if you walk on the corridor. So his name also comes from one of these verses, Rasika Shekhar. master of all transcendental humors. That's the name of Krishna. So this Mahaprabhu convincing Murari Gupta to become a devotee of Lord Krishna because he was attached to Lord Ram. Madhura Charitra Krishnera Madhura Vilasa Chaturya Vaidagdya Kare Yandra Leela Rasa. His character is very sweet and his pastimes are melodious. He is expert in intelligence and thus he enjoys all his pastimes and mellows. Say Krishna Bhajatumi, how Krishna Shaya, Krishna Vina Anya Upasana Mane Nahilaya. I then requested Murari Gupta, worship Krishna and take shelter of him. But for his service, nothing appeals to the mind. E mata bara bara shuniya vachana, amara gaurave kichu verigela mana. In this way, he heard from me again and again. By my influence, his mind was a little converted. Amare kahe na ami tomara kinkara, tomara agyakari amina hi swatantara. Murari Gupta then replied, I am your servant and your order carrier. I have no independent existence. Etabali gare gela chintira trikale, Raghunatha tyaga chintaya ha ila vikale. After this, Murari Gupta went home and spent the whole night thinking how he would have to give up the association of Raghunath, Lord Ramachandra. Thus he was overwhelmed. Kemana chadi Raghunatera charana, aji ratre prabhu mora karaha marana. Murari Gupta then began to pray at the lotus feet of Lord Ramachandra. He prayed that death would come that night because it was not possible for him to give up the service of the lotus feet of Raghunath. E mata sarva ratri karena krandana, mane soyasti nahi ratri kaila jagarana. Thus Murari Gupta cried the entire night. There was no rest for his mind. Therefore he could not sleep, but stayed awake the entire night. Pratakale ashi mora darila charana, kandite kichu karene vedana. In the morning, Murari Gupta came to see me. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is telling. Catching hold of my feet and crying, he submitted an appeal. Raghunate rapaya muni, bechiya chonmata, kadite na pari mata, mane pae vyata. Murari Gupta said, I have sold my head unto the lotus feet of Raghunath. I cannot withdraw my head, for that would give me too much pain. Shri Raghunatha Charana Chadana Nayaya Tava Agya Bhangahaya Ke Karunupaya. It is not possible for me to give up the service of Raghunath's lotus feet. At the same time, if I do not do so, I shall break your order. What can I do? Tate mora e kripa kara daya maya, tomara age mrityuha oka yaoka sankshaya. In this way, Murari Gupta appealed to me, saying, You are all merciful, so kindly grant me this mercy. Let me die before you, so that all my doubts will be finished. Etasuni ami bada mane sukha failon, inhare uttana tabe alengana kailon. Hearing this, I became very happy. I then raised Murari Gupta and embraced him. Sadhu sadhu Gupta tomara sudrida bhajana, amara vachaneha tomara nata lila mana. I said to him, All glories to you, Murari Gupta. Your method of worship is very firmly fixed, so much so that even upon my request, your mind did not turn. E mata sevaka kera priti chahe prabhu paya, prabhu chadai leha pada chadana nayaya. The servitor must have love and affection for the lotus feet of the Lord exactly like this. Even if the Lord wants separation, a devotee cannot abandon the shelter of his lotus feet. I'll read the translation again. The servitor must have love and affection for the lotus feet of the Lord exactly like this. Even if the Lord wants separation, a devotee cannot abandon the shelter of his lotus feet. Can somebody read the purport? We have extra mic? You can read. Is that on? It's on now, this one.
The word Prabhu or Master indicates that the Lord is to be continuously served by his devotee. The original Prabhu is the Lord Sri Krishna. Nonetheless, there are many devotees attached to Lord Ramachandra, and Murari Gupta is a vivid example of such unalloyed devotion. He never agreed to give up Lord Ramachandra's worship, not even upon Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's request. Such is the chastity of devotional service, as stated in the Antya Leela of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita 4:46-47. Se Bhakta Danya Yena Chade Prabhura Charana, Se Prabhu Dhanya Yena Chade Nija Jana, Durdaive Sevaka Yadi Yaya Anyastane, Se Thakura Danya Tare Chula Dari Ane. In a firm relationship with the Lord, the devotee does not give up the Lord's service under any circumstance. As far as the Lord himself is concerned, if the devotee chooses to leave, the Lord brings him back again, dragging him by the hair.
So this is again the heart of this entire section of these verses. Mahaprabhu is trying to glorify Murari Gupta. We'll discuss more after a couple more verses where it finishes. E mata tomara nishta jani bara tare, tomara agraha ami kailun bare bare, just to test your firm faith in your Lord. I requested you again and again to change your worship from Lord Ramachandra to Krishna. Sakshat Hanuman tumi Shri Rama Kinkara tumi kena chadibe Tandra Charana Kamala. In this way, I congratulated Murari Gupta, saying, indeed, you are the incarnation of Hanuman. Consequently, you are the eternal servant of Lord Ramachandra. Why should you give up the worship of Lord Ramachandra and his lotus feet? Say Murari Gupta e mora prana sama, inhara daina shoni mora fataye jivana. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continued, I accept this Murari Gupta as my life and soul. When I hear of his humility, it perturbs my very life. Jai. So now you know why Prabhupada named it as Antarashtriya Krishna Bhavanamrita Sangha, right? So this is the beauty of this intense devotion. And you can see how much is going on between the Lord and Murari Gupta. Externally, if you look at it, he's saying, why is he convincing me against my will, right? So this is something many of us go through in our own spiritual life. We don't know when to surrender and when to use our intelligence. Because Prabhupada also said that you surrender, but don't surrender your intelligence. So, at a given situation, you don't know whether I should surrender or I should use my intelligence. Most of the time, we make a mess by using our intelligence when we should surrender. Usually, if you have to err on the side, better to err on the side of surrender, because that's a harder thing to do. So if you use your intelligence, you better be actually intelligent, because real intelligence is actually firm faith in the words of Guru and Krishna. So when we try to use our intelligence, we cannot contradict other principles in the name of you, because there are many devotees who have turned against their spiritual master, or turned against ISKCON, or turned against Srila Prabhupada, because they thought, I have to use my intelligence, this doesn't make sense. So like this, you can see how Murari Gupta was pushed to such an extreme situation where he couldn't give up, but he had to follow the order. And he thought it's better to just die than deal with this dilemma. But then, that is exactly the point of Mahaprabhu, to show his glories. So, sometimes when those things happen, we lose faith because it's not logical. But that's a higher layer. At one sense, the logic may not make sense, but at a deeper level, it's all for a higher purpose. So, if you don't understand that higher purpose, then all our Krishna conscious dealings becomes just like materialistic dealings. Yes, many times that finesse is also required. We have to be professional in our dealings. We have to make people accountable. We have to do a lot of things that make sense at a material level. We cannot throw away everything. So, while we get things done, the mood of getting things done is what is described here. So we never give up that mood, the Bhavanamrita of Krishna, for anything else. So that's some reflections on this. Jai Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan ki Jai, Shriman Mahaprabhu ki Jai, Shri Shri Lakshmi Nrsimha Bhagwan ki Jai. So this is actually the Lord glorifying his devotee, but he clearly says, just to test your firm faith in your Lord, I requested you again and again to change your worship from Lord Ramachandra to Krishna. So actually this is not Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's intention. But how will he show the glories of Murari Gupta? Just by showing him how much he surrendered. One time Mother Malati was cooking for Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada would invite his godbrother. This was somewhere in India. Prabhupada would invite his godbrothers, and it was very hard she was also having a small child, Saraswati, and she had to go and do all the other things and then go to groceries and get back in time for lunch. And every time Prabhupada would like find some fault and tell, this is not good, that's not good, like that. At one point she almost was going to give up, saying, Prabhupada, I can't do this. It's like your expectations too much for me. So like that she was almost going to give up. So one day when Prabhupada was having lunch with his godbrothers, and she came and served, and Prabhupada told his godbrothers, this is my disciple Malati. She'll cut her throat for me, and I'll do the same for her. That was Prabhupada's love for her. But externally, it appears like, the spiritual master is pushing me or expecting, like me to surrender more than I can handle, or many things we may feel. So that's like at a mental platform, all that will be going on. But our actual business is to become spiritual, to become transcendental to the prompts of the mind and become spiritual. So that's what these verses are helping us understand. It's not actually, there's no contradiction in Krishna consciousness. Whenever there's a contradiction or a apparent situation we can't resolve, one thing that we can understand for sure is that Krishna wants me to grow to a higher level of consciousness by which I can understand what's happening. So, if we stay at our current level of consciousness, some things we could never resolve. But if we raise our consciousness, the problems caused at the lower level of consciousness goes away when we transcend that level. And unless there are problems and unless there are situations like this Krishna creates, we'll never have the motivation to raise. So that's why Krishna consciousness, there is no loss or diminution. Krishna says, Neha Bhikarmana Shosti. But many times in our journey, it looks like it's not going to work out. Like it will look like we signed up for the wrong thing, or there's something that has to change. It's just not going to work like this. But then those are the times our faith has to be strong, and we need to grow our faith rather than lose it. So that's what Mahaprabhu is doing here. So just to test your firm faith in your Lord, I requested you to change. So he didn't intend. He actually wanted to glorify, but the Lord's instruction and his intention may sometimes be contradictory. So that's where we need to have our faith and grow our purity to understand the intention, like how Rupa Goswami is glorified as Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam. He understood the real intention of Lord Chaitanya. That's why he was able to accomplish all the wonderful work he did. So similarly, there are many situations in which our faith will be tested, and these are examples which Mahaprabhu is giving. Again, this is like a pretty serious thing, It's like he's been worshipping Lord Ramachandra all along his life, and Mahaprabhu is repeated, not just like once and not just casually suggesting. It's like intentionally, repeatedly, again and again. And Prabhupada also like that. He was very deliberate when he wanted somebody to change. He was very deliberate in doing that. But that may not be actually done to all the devotees. That's another thing. So sometimes a special master knows the breaking point of the disciple, so he'll not push beyond that point. But if he knows that the breaking point is still far away, they'll push. So that's one other thing to understand. So sometimes you may see even that to be a double standard. Like the spiritual master may have a certain standard for one disciple and different standard for another disciple, and we may get confused, He's not expecting this of them, why expect that of me? But the spiritual master knows what our level of surrender is, and he guides accordingly to grow. So this double standard is, it may seem like a contradictory again when you are at the mental platform or think of it as a material consciousness, but when we understand the deeper intention, then we know why it is. His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Swami, he wrote about this in one of his letters when he was just before, few months before passing away. He wrote, some of you have been my close disciples. I might have pushed you much more than others. And you may even see it as a double standard. Like, why me, why not them? But he was giving a beautiful explanation. He said, because you're so close to me, I consider you all as an extension of myself, and so I push you just as I push myself. Whereas when somebody is not that close, you cannot push them. So actually in this case, you can see what you are getting is opposite of what is happening. So you might be thinking it's unfair for me to be given this extra responsibility or extra service when somebody else is just enjoying their Krishna conscious life. We may see it like at a material platform like that, but that's not the way the Guru thinks, and he's explaining this in such a beautiful way. I consider you as an extension of myself, so just like as how I would tolerate, I would go through, I would push myself, similarly I am pushing those close to me. And this particular theme is also explained by Lord Shri Krishna so this is from the Krishna book. This is in the Rasa Leela pastime, where Krishna invites all the gopis and then hides and then acts as if he doesn't care for them. So they are all so much aggrieved, and this is the same situation they are in. Again, imagine what we are talking about. If the gopis are in this situation, what to talk about us, right? So they are like thinking that Krishna is not following what he said. He's so ungrateful, and like that they have so many complaints. And then they ask Krishna to answer, and Krishna is answering here. My dear friends, Krishna continued, you might be aggrieved by my words and acts, But you must know that sometimes I do not reciprocate my devotees' dealings with me. Wait a minute. What does he say in the Bhagavad Gita? Tamam prapadyante tam sataiva bhajamiham. Right? So this is why in South India they say, don't worship Krishna, better worship Ram. Because Ram, what you see is what you get. With Krishna, it's not like Krishna is too tricky for especially South Indians to handle. So, you see more of the Bal Gopal and that form of worship, but not like any higher than that. So, he says clearly, he's contradicting himself. He says, you know that sometimes I do not reciprocate my devotees' dealings with me. Right? So, you can see it as a double standard. And he explains why it is so. My devotees are very much attached to me, but sometimes I do not reciprocate their feelings properly in order to increase their love for me more and more. If I can very easily be approached by them, they might think Krishna is so easily available. So sometimes I do not respond. If a person has no money, but after some time accumulates some wealth and then loses it, he will think of the lost property 24 hours a day. Similarly, in order to increase the love of my devotees, sometimes I appear to be lost to them. And instead of forgetting me, they feel their loving sentiments for me increase. My dear friends, do not think for a moment that I have been dealing with you as I do with ordinary devotees. I know what you are. You have forsaken all kinds of social and religious obligations. You have given up all connection with your parents. Without caring for social convention and religious obligations, you have come to me and loved me. And I am so much obliged to you that I cannot treat you as ordinary devotees. Don't think that I was away from you. I was near to you. I was simply seeing how much you are anxious for me in my absence. So please don't try to find fault with me. Because you consider me so dear to you, kindly excuse me if I have done anything wrong. I cannot repay your continuous love for me even throughout the lifetimes of the demigods in the heavenly planets. It is impossible to repay you or show enough gratitude for your love. Therefore, please be satisfied by your own pious activities. You have displayed exemplary attraction for me, overcoming the greatest difficulties arising from family connections. Please be satisfied with your highly exemplary character, for it is not possible for me to repay my debt to you. This is the famous Naparayeham verses. So you can see Krishna is talking about the gopis versus ordinary devotees. So, there seems to be a double standard there, right? So, which means that is the nature of love. So, sometimes we see like a new bhakta come in and advance like crazy. And then we'll be wondering, what? I've been like chanting for 10 years, 15 years. I'm not getting that realization. I'm not getting that feelings. I'm not like able to surrender. But as a new devotee, sometimes they get so much more. So that's true. So just like sometimes you have a demo of a product, and then when you get the product, it's different, right? In the material world, there's a perverted reflection. But similarly, Krishna himself says to Narada Muni in his pastimes that I sometimes give darshan just to encourage you. And then he took away the darshan and made Narada Muni work for it. And only then he gave the darshan again. He said, I regret I will not be able to see me again until you become purified. But he did give a demo, right, of what the darshan is, but then took it away also. So like that, Krishna reciprocates with devotees in different ways according to where they are in their spiritual journey. He knows how to bring them to him. So that part remains constant. So there's no double standard there. So his love is constant, but how he manifests his love is different. Sometimes he may manifest by aligning with what we think Krishna should do. Sometimes he may do exactly the opposite to bring us close to him. But that is his supreme independence to choose how he reciprocates. Which is why the last verse of the Shikshashtakam, we pray Ashlishava Padaratam Pinashtamam Adarshanan Marmahatam Karotava Yata Tatava Vidadatu Lampato Matprananato Susayevanapara. So it's not that we are being conditional devotees, that if these conditions are satisfied, I'll be surrendered and I'll be devoted. But our goal is to be surrendered unconditionally, knowing Krishna knows what is best for me. So that is what faith is. So Radhanath Maharaj says nicely, if there is no test, what is the meaning of faith? So the faith means there has to be a test, otherwise there is no meaning to the word faith. So many times our faith will be tested, but these are how we understand how to become closer to the Lord in ways that it may not match with our understanding, but we can understand that the Lord is always looking out for us and giving us the right test at the right time. That much faith we should have. We may not understand the actual details at that time. Sometimes things happen in our life we don't understand at the moment, but few years down the road, we actually understand, okay, this is why Krishna did that to me. If he hadn't done that to me at that time, I wouldn't be where I am right now. So sometimes we can connect the dots only later or not at the moment when it's happening. But whereas we make decisions at the moment, we don't think of it like this. So sometimes we do the wrong thing, getting confused, or we get into the mental platform, and we may break relationships like that. All this, we have to remember, we are here for Krishna Bhavanamrita, and that is not a straight line. It's not like everything is linear and everything is matching our expectation, but we are surrendering to Krishna in his terms, not in our terms. So I have one more section, but I don't know if you have to leave. Maybe you can pause for like some reflections, and if still some devotees want to hear one more section of beautiful pastimes of Lord Ram and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are there. Another 15 minutes it will take, but maybe we can just pause for some reflections and continue if needed. Yes, Prabhu. Shamarupa Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for such a deep, heartfelt class. I've never heard such a deep, heart-touching class, and you really revealed your heart and Krishna's heart. Very, very touching. Thank you. And very, very practical, because we all face this, especially those are long runners. One day they have to come to this question. And just thinking about that taste, and especially you mentioned that taste will become, taste will be there, and that is where our real surrender comes. So one of the example I was thinking is the Jatayu. Like apparently he got defeated, and even Lord Ram misunderstood him for some time, just to make it a little more deep and thick, that honey of love. So that's always there. I just wanted to ask you, Prabhu, this the few verses you quoted, if I can get their numbers, because I want to repeatedly hear, especially these wonderful points that you mentioned. I can just
Sure.
Go through it again and again.
Yeah, the original verse is the 9-10-4 from the Srimad Bhagavatam, and the second set of verses from Murari Gupta, that's from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela, chapter 15, text 137 to 157. Sorry, I should have read
one
that.
more question I do have. 157.
Yes.
Okay. And the last one, the
and then
Dasa Leela thing.
Yes, that one is chapter 32 of the Krishna book.
Okay. I don't want to miss those especially. And this will be need of the hour, like whenever that thing comes. Yeah. So, Prabhuji, I just want to ask you, what is that devotee should do that time? What protection and shelter can he take at that time? Because sometimes it can feel that he's alone, struggling alone, and everything seems to be like ulta, opposite. what he can do at that time or before that, if you can.
Sure. In my experience, many times we know what the right thing to do is. We just don't want to do. Or we want something else other than what we should be doing. So that's where the conflict in the mind happens. For example, as a practical check, one verse which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says later on in the Chaitanya Charitamrita is Trinadapi Sunichena Tarorapi Saishnana Amanina Manadina Kirtanaya Sadahari. We can just ask ourselves, am I following all 4 principles mentioned in that verse? Am I being humble here? Am I being tolerant? Am I giving respect? Am I not expecting respect? I have never come across any situation where I get into a conflict without violating one of these principles. So that means any conflict, any situation, any doubt, anywhere, any situation we are in where we have a challenge, we can ask ourselves, which of these 4 I'm violating? And then whatever decision we take, whether we know if it is right or wrong, even if we don't know if it is right or wrong, that you never know, only in the future you know. But one way to protect ourselves is, we can ask this question and say, is my decision aligned with this verse? If I'm making a decision where it is violating one of these principles, we ourselves know that it's not the right decision. Why? Because that's Mahaprabhu's teaching, and that's the ultimate solution to all problems. Especially in a society of Vaishnavas, without that we cannot go on. Because every one of us is different, and this age of Kali, everything is going to be difficult, and everybody has their perspective, their opinions and all that. So that's why Mahaprabhu gave that verse and said every Vaishnava should wear it around his neck as a garland, so that we always remember. Just like our Kantimala, we never forget. So like that, if we always remember this one verse and check if our decisions, if our thought process is aligned with this verse. That's why I said many times we know that this is not what is expected of me according to this verse, but still we'll be impelled to do it anyway. That is when we get into trouble. So that's why all these pastimes are there, to understand how the devotees survive this this dip in their consciousness or dip in their faith, and then they just rise from there by surviving that. So yeah, if you come across a situation where you got into trouble without violating any of the 4, please let me know. I am doing the research on that topic. So, yes.
Thank you, Prabhu. It's very helpful. Really appreciate your wisdom in this. Thank you.
And then, of course, there are others, spiritual masters, mentors, Shiksha Guru, friends, peers, wife. So they may all call us out in no time if we open up. So that's why Dadati, Pratigrihnati, Guhyam Akyati Prachati principle is also there. Even if you think you have made the best decision according to this principle, just share it with somebody and see if it passes through them. Because they may be able to see your blind spots and help you. So that way we don't do something stupid and impulsively and justify that I did it in service to Prabhupada, like that. That's why there's so much negativity going on online, because everybody feels they are right and they have a right to express what they feel, and they think it's all devotional. But then, you can see as a whole our movement is suffering from this, which is why Vaisheshika Prabhu always adds the 5th principle in the initiation ceremony, that never offend devotees, never criticize devotees, right? So it all boils down to that culture. And again, that's why unless we have that, this is like basic culture. Trinadapi Sunichena is like, you can say, basic. Only if we have that foundation, then we can build on it and get to these higher or deeper levels of this Bhavanamrita, that the Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita and the Chaitanya Charitamrita is talking about. If we still stay at the same level and not even try to rise above that, then all this deeper thing just becomes theoretical and we cannot actually relish, we cannot get our taste in Krishna consciousness from this nectar, because it's too much for us to handle. No, I'm like busy with something else. Like the Bhagavatam gives the example of crows versus what is the other one? Swans. Yes, like the Vayasam Tirtham. Crows have their own place of pilgrimage, and swans have their own place. So Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita are like it's a Paramahamsa Samhita, right? Bhagavatam. So they're inviting us to become like swans. But if we get stuck in the mentality of crows and fight like crows, then all this knowledge becomes inaccessible to us and only theoretical to us. That's why on these days we can meditate on how deep the relationship between the Lord and these devotees are, which is why Lord Ramachandra appeared in Treta Yuga, which is like millions of years ago, but still we are discussing his glories. Imagine that, nobody in the planet Earth has any history that dates back as far as this. But then we are still discussing their glories because of their character and the examples they have set. And again, quoting Radhika Raman Prabhu, he said, the highest climax, or the highest, the climax of happiness in Lord Ramachandra's pastime is the lifting of the bow and marrying Sita. That was like much early on in his life, right? After that, everything is about, mostly it's sad, right? It's about death, or it's about revenge. It's all about, like sad like that. So, but Ramachandra went through all that just to show how to set an example to live in this world. Because only if we survive all that, then we get access to the nectar. So, Krishna did it a different way. Right? He broke all the rules, and that's why Krishna is called Leela Purushottam, whereas Lord Ramachandra is called Maryada Purushottam. Lord Ramachandra respected all the etiquette and everything, and then you can see how much suffering he went through just to show us the path. So, so that's what. Again, as years go by in our spiritual life, we have to become aware of how far we are away. Because at the beginning we think, oh, I can just chant like this in a few more years and I'll become a pure devotee. That's how we start off with, right? And then as we go further, the goal gets further away. So that's not a setback, but that's a nature, that's an awareness of the reality of how great Krishna is and how fallen we are. It's not a negative. In fact, that is how it should be. That the more we are Krishna conscious, the more we feel humble and the more we feel unworthy, and we feel Krishna's greatness. They both are not orthogonal. This is why when Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his prayers, he is exhibiting this dainya, humility. It's not he's just telling it because I have to tell like this for others. No, he's actually feeling that he's like so low, and then he's just praying. Like for the Gopinath song and other songs he writes with such profound humility. That's how actually they feel. So it's not like for others, it's actual reality, which means sign of advancement is being aware of how far away we are actually from the goal and how much we are dependent on the mercy of Guru and Krishna to achieve that. So it's that humility that Mahaprabhu says is breaking my heart here. He says, Murari Gupta's humility is breaking my heart, because he could have easily said, I can't do this, or he could have easily changed. Both of them are not following the Trinadapisu Nichena principle, right? Whereas he opened his heart and he said, I tried, but I couldn't do. So what can I do? It's better to even die like that. That is extreme humility. He's not like taking his stance and trying to, stand his ground and all that. This is the humility that we are meant to develop. And again, it's not easy. We are all talking about it, But when the situations come through, that's when our own test will come. That may come today or tomorrow or in 10 years. But the advancement is to be prepared for that. And then that's when we make the quantum leap to the next level of Krishna consciousness. And then when we keep rising like that, that's what Bhagavad Gita Krishna says, yasmin sthitona dukkena gurunapi vichalyate. When one is situated in that consciousness of transcendence, nothing can shake him. He says in the 6th chapter, around verses 20 or so. So, that is the deep faith, Nishtha. So that is what we are meant to aspire for. Any other comments?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I had one question, but first of all, I just want to say thank you for coming back to ISV. Welcome home. And please, can we give a big round of applause to Prabhu and Mataji. We felt both of your absence very deeply, and I know we'll feel it again soon, but relishing while you're here. One question I had was, this point around Krishna Bhavanamrita and also Vaishnava Bhavanamrita, sometimes we hear these pastimes, and for someone like me who's somewhat on the mental platform or intellectual platform, immediately when I hear Murari Gupta is praying that, let me give up my life because this conversion is too hard for me to handle, then from my point of reference, I project that actually, no, we don't believe in suicide. We don't believe in this. So my question is how to get beyond the mental platform and actually taste the rasa, because just like Bhaktivinoda Thakur, you're mentioning that dhanya is not artificial, that rasa is real, despite really he is not as low as he is saying, right. But it's a matter of rasa. Right. Same with Murari Gupta. So how to get beyond the mental platform and stop analyzing it according to even Vaishnava philosophy. You mentioned that Srila Prabhupada said, never give up your intelligence. Right. He didn't say that. But there seems to be an element of having to give up your intelligence, or at least some level of intelligence, to achieve a higher level of rasa-imbued intelligence. Mm. Could you give some comment on this from your experience?
Sure. Thank you for welcoming. Yeah, it does really feel like home. So, yeah, the one pivot I've always found helpful is, what is my goal here? Is it in a mood of service, or is it to ascertain my position? Usually that test really clarifies me. Again, I may not be humble enough to even admit to others that I am doing it for securing my position or my name or fame, but at least to myself I can have that conversation with my mind and ask, am I really doing it for myself, or am I really doing it in a mode of service? Because the moment we try to do in a mode of service, many options that were previously closed begin to open up. Because it may not be only one way of doing things. It may be another way. So all that is closed, Krishna doesn't allow us access to that realm because we are not interested in that. We are interested in putting our foot down or ascertaining our position and showing the world who I am. All this thing comes, which is why Krishna says, Aham sarvasya prabho mata sarvam prabhavatite. No, not that. Tesham satatu yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam. The prerequisite for getting that buddhi or receiving that intelligence from Krishna is that bhajatam priti purvakam. Like wanting to serve Krishna with love in this situation. So when we put that filter, am I doing it in a mode of service? Then many of the options fall out, especially those that we are trying to do to satisfy our own ego or our own mental conditioning. And then, yes, we have to use the intelligence, there's no doubt. Whatever is left of it. So, but we can also use the intelligence to either be anukul or pratikul. Like, we can use the intelligence to favorably serve, or use it to unfavorably demand or ascertain our position or any of that negative things. So, once the mood of service is fixed, then the intelligence comes as to how to execute that service. So the intelligence is not in choosing whether I should be in a mood of servant or not. That is where we sometimes fall prey to the allurement of the mind, which is always trying to drag us down in the material world, where we choose the shreyas, the preyas versus shreyas, right? The immediately attractive things that satisfy our ego and intellect, than what is the instruction or what is necessary for the Vaishnavas or Guru or Krishna here. So once a service attitude is there, that is what Krishna is pushing us to develop. That is why he even creates that situation for us to, in this situation, let me see how good of a servant you are. You have been claiming that you are my servant. Let me see how you are serving me in this situation. And we see this beautiful example in the Srimad Bhagavatam, in the episode of the 7th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam of the first canto, where Krishna puts Arjuna in a fix as to whether to kill Ashwatthama or not. Because you know that section, right? So that's a beautiful section where Krishna tells him what to do in an indirect way, but Draupadi wants certain thing, Bhima wants certain thing, and Krishna wants certain thing, and Arjuna himself wants certain thing, and he's in such a dilemma. What do I do? What is my service here? And then Krishna actually doesn't give him an answer, and by not giving him an answer, actually he gives the answer. Meaning he says you have to do all of this. Meaning it's not like either or, you have to do both. That's the indirect hint he gives. And then Arjuna picks up that hint and then just shaves his hair off, because that is as good as killing him. So he has satisfied one party while physically not killing him by satisfying the other party. So there is that intelligence Krishna is ready to give, but do we want to access that? Do we pray for that? Do we want to be in that mood to actually do the right thing? Because that is the purification that Krishna wants us to go through. That so, like Mahatma Prabhu gives beautiful seminars, particularly on forgiveness. So one of the examples he quotes is, if you squeeze an orange, what do you get? Orange juice. If you squeeze an apple, what do you get? Apple juice. If you squeeze your heart, what do you get? Right? So that is what Krishna is doing. He's squeezing our heart. And then if bhakti is there, bhakti is what will come out. If dvesha is there, that's what will come out. So what comes out is what is in. It's not external, it's internal. That is what is coming out. So through those moments of a challenge where our faith is tested, we can see that Guru or Krishna is squeezing us to find out what comes out, just to show us what is inside. Because we may be thinking inside there is orange, but actually apple comes out, then it was not orange, it was apple. So orange or apple is not a problem, both are good. But instead of love, if lust and greed and pride, those things come out when they squeeze us, that's what Krishna is showing us. This is what is in your heart. So that is how we transcend that duality of the mind, by being objective and keeping the service mode, and then even theoretically asking the question, if I were to be in a mood of a servant following the Mahaprabhu's Trinadapi Sunichana verse, what would I actually do? And if I don't know, let me ask somebody that I can have faith in, that is well-wisher, and let me consult with that person as to how to do. When we even take that time to deliberate and act in the right way, that itself is a mode of goodness, irrespective of the decision. And then we see that sometimes it's not either or, sometimes it could be and, sometimes it could be a completely third option or fourth option. The whole gamut of knowledge is there with Krishna, and he wants to see what are we choosing. It's not about him giving, but what do we want? Do we really want that help from Krishna to do the right thing? Then Krishna gives us, and then we transcend. And then Krishna doesn't have to give that test anymore, because we already passed that test. Of course, the next test may be even harder. So it's up to us whether you will just continue the same test or go for a harder test. But that is how life works. Again, regarding this point, the point we just discussed about the Dainya, even Srimati Radharani feels she's not so qualified to serve Krishna. Right? So that is her feeling of Dainya. She thinks Krishna is so great, I'm not fit enough to serve Krishna. So that's why in the last chapter of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, she even says, if there is another gopi that serves Krishna better than me, then I will become the maidservant of that gopi. So you can see there is no attachment to the position, but purely attachment to Krishna's service. So that service is the pivot to see whether it's for me or for Krishna. So that's my experience, and always it's worked so far. I'm at least staying alive in Krishna consciousness. So from that I can say that principle works. Any other reflections? Oh, Tadiya Seva Prabhu? Your hand is raised, so you are muted.
Haribol Prabhu.
Yes, we can hear you.
It was muted before. Thank you so much, Prabhu. It's a great class. You have very high standards in bhakti. We can see that year after year when we go to parikramas with you. And you have brought, you have explained a lot of nuances in bhakti actually, and on when to use intelligence and when to not use intelligence, and when to follow the instructions of Guru, spiritual master. Very enlightening class, and I'm not on that level. But how can we? My dilemma is, how do we reach to these high standards on taking the instruction of spiritual master as a life and soul?
Thank you, Tadiya Seva Prabhu. The process is actually the same for all of us. As I said, to the degree we apply the principles that we know, to that degree we pass the test at that level, and then we are ready for the test at next level. That's what they say, like whether you are a new bhakta or Prabhupada disciple being in the movement for 30-40 years, the process is the same Mangalarti, we all sing, we all chant the same Mahamantra, we all take the same prasadam. So the process is pretty much the same. It's how much we apply that enables us to go to the next level. So that's why the process is the same for all of us, but to the degree we apply in our life, we advance or we get stagnated or we take a long time to advance. So that rate of advancement is purely an individual choice. That's where the free will is, that's where the ISV principle is there, individual, spontaneous and voluntary. So it is that's why if you see devotees like Grace Vaisheshika Prabhu, they fully understand that principle, and then they give the space for people to come to Krishna at their pace. And yes, when somebody is ready, then they empower them more and give them more challenges and get them involved more. And somebody is doing it little slowly, then they also give the space, and so there's not like a cookie cutter. Everybody is having the space so that they can grow at their own level. So it's purely your own choice of how much I'm surrendering to Krishna today versus how much I'm holding back. So the process is the same, so just keep continuing, and every day when we go through, it's a fresh day of surrendering to Guru and Krishna that I can aspire for. So whatever I missed yesterday or whatever I did not do which I should have done yesterday, let me do that today. And then when we grow that, then we see that actually it's like a growing our bank balance. Every day we put some deposit, we grow our bank balance. Every day we withdraw, the balance draws down. Similarly, it's at our level, we may not be doing the right thing every day because we are also overcome by the modes of nature. So sometimes we may retract from our advancement. Sometimes we may fall short of the standards. But instead of dwelling in the past, we should focus on the future. Okay, we can say that, look, this is what happened to me because I didn't follow. I can look back and see what happened to me. And then, okay, now let me take resolve from today, let me surrender more. And then again, the path goes up. Our Guru Maharaj always says, if you fall 9 times, get up the 10th time. So that's our process. Just like a child when it's walking, at the beginning, the first year, he or she may falter so many times. But the process is to just get up and continue walking so that you find the stability. And then you can walk, and then you can run, and then you can jump. All that higher levels are accessible. But you have to stabilize your current level. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur also mentions the same. He says, when you are satisfied the one level of dharma, then you are ready for the next level. Like you get the adhikar, you get the qualification to enter the next level only after you satisfy the previous level. Otherwise, if you go too far too fast, then you'll just come back and the whole thing will be a mess. So Krishna gives the realization accordingly so that we are progressing on the right path.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So should we continue one more section? Thank you for staying back. Again, don't feel obliged. It's ISV, individual, spontaneous and voluntary. Feel free to leave if you have other services or work. This is the starting part of this section. This is from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela, chapter 9, text 178 onwards. Dakshina Mathura Aila Kama Koshti Haite Tahan Deka Haila Eka Brahmana Sahite. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu arrived at southern Mathura from Kama Koshti, he met a Brahmana. This is the Madurai place. Se Vipra Mahaprabhu ke Kaila Nimantrana Rama Bhakta Se Vipra Virakta Mahajana. The Brahmana who met Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu invited the Lord to his home. This Brahmana was a great devotee and an authority on Lord Sri Ramachandra. He was always detached from material activities. Kritamala yasnanakari aila tandragare bhiksha ki tibena vipra pakanahe kare. After bathing in the river Kritamala, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to the Brahmana's house to take lunch. But he saw that the food was unprepared because the Brahmana had not cooked it. So he invited for lunch and he didn't cook lunch. Mahaprabhu kahe tandra shona mahasaya Madhyana haile kene Pakanahi Haya. Seeing this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "My dear sir, please tell me why you have not cooked. It's already known." Vipraka he Prabhu Mora Aranya Vasati Pakera Samagri Vane Namele Samprati. The Brahmana replied, "My dear Lord, we are living in the forest. For the time being, we cannot get all the ingredients for cooking. Vanyasha Kafala Mula Ani Be Lakshman Tabe Sita Karibena Paka Prayojana." When Lakshmana brings all the vegetables, fruits and roots from the forest, Sita will do the necessary cooking. You can see how much, this is the Bhavanamrita, right? Absorption. Tandra Upasana Shuni Prabhu Tushta Haila Aste Vyaste Se Vipra Randana Karila. Sri Chaitanya Prabhu was very satisfied to hear about the Brahmana's method of worship. Finally, the Brahmana hastily made arrangements for cooking. He came to the external consciousness. Prabhu Bhiksha Kaile Dinera Tritiya Prahare Nirvinna Se Vipra Upavasakare. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took his lunch at about 3 o'clock. But the Brahmana, being very sorrowful, fasted. Prabhu ka he Vipra kanhe kara upavasa kene eta dukkha kene karaha hutasha. While the Brahmana was fasting, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked him, "Why are you fasting? Why are you so unhappy? Why are you so worried?" Vipraka he jivana mora nahi prayojana agni jale praveshiya chadi bhat jivana. The Brahmana replied, "I have no reason to live. I shall give up my life by entering either fire or water." Same thing. Jaganmata Mahalakshmi Sita Takurani Rakshase Sparshila Tandra Eha Kane Shuni. My dear sir, Mother Sita is the mother of the universe and the supreme goddess of fortune. She has been touched by the demon Ravana, and I am troubled upon hearing this news. E sharira dari bare kabu na yuyaya e dukke jvala deha prana nahiyaya. Sir, due to my unhappiness, I cannot continue living. Although my body is burning, my life is not leaving. Prabhu ka he e bhavana nakariha ara Pandita hana kena nakaraha vichara. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied, "Please do not think this way any longer. You are a learned Pandita. Why don't you consider the case?" He is going to give alternate explanation. Ishvara Prayashi Sita Chidananda Murti Prakrita Indriyera Tandra Dekite Nahi Shakti. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continued, "Sita Devi, the dearmost wife of the Supreme Lord Ramachandra, certainly has a spiritual form full of bliss. No one can see her with material eyes, for no materialist has such power. Sparshibara Karya Achuka Napaya Darshana Sitara Akriti Maya Harila Ravana. To say nothing of touching Mother Sita, a person with material senses cannot even see her. When Ravana kidnapped her, he kidnapped only her material illusory form. Ravana Asitte Sita Antardana Kaile Ravanera Age Maya Sita Patta illa. As soon as Ravana arrived before Sita, she disappeared. Then, just to cheat Ravana, she sent an illusory material form. Aprakrita Vastuna he Prakrita Gochara Veda Puranete e Kahe Nirantara. Spiritual substance is never within the jurisdiction of the material conception. This is always the verdict of the Vedas and Puranas. So this is a beautiful principle. This is what we were talking about earlier also. Spiritual substance is never within the jurisdiction of the material conception. Because spiritual is transcendental. It's not at the level of the mind or the intelligence. This is always the verdict of the Vedas and Puranas. Vishvasa karaha tumi amara vachane punarapi kubhavana nakariha mane. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then assured the Brahmana, "Have faith in my words and do not burden your mind any longer with this misconception. Prabhura vachane viprera haila vishvasa bhojana karile haila jivenera asha. Although the Brahmana was fasting, he had faith in the words of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and accepted food. In this way, his life was saved. Tandra Ashva Shia Prabhu Karile Gamana Kritamalaya Snana Kari Aila Durvashana. After thus assuring the Brahmana, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu proceeded further into southern India and finally arrived at Durvashana, where he bathed in the river Kritamala. For South Indians, that Kritamala is the river Vaigai. Prabhupada quotes here. Durvashane Raghunate Kaile Darashana Mahendra Shaile Parashuramera Kaila Vandana. At Durvashana, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited the temple of Lord Ramachandra, and on the hill known as Mahendra Shaila, he saw Lord Parashuram. Setu bande ashikaila danus tirteshnana Rameshwara dekitaha karila vishrama. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then went to Setu Banda, Rameshwar, where he took his bath at the place called Dhanus Tirtha. From there, he visited the Rameshwara temple and then took rest. Viprasabhaya shunetanha kurma purana tara madhya aila pativrata opakhyana. There, among the Brahmanas, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu listened to the Kurma Purana, wherein is mentioned the chaste women's narration. Pativrata Shiromani Janaka Nandini Jagatera Mata Sita Ramera Grihini. Srimati Sita Devi is the mother of the three worlds and the wife of Lord Ramachandra. Among chaste women, she is supreme and she is the daughter of King Janaka. See such a beautiful verse here about Mother Sita. Pativrata Shiromani Janaka Nandini Jagatera Mata Sita Ramera Grihini. Such simple poetry, so deep. Ravana Dekiya Sita Laila Angira Sharana Ravana Haite Agni Kaile Sita Ke Avarana. When Ravana came to kidnap Mother Sita and she saw him, she took shelter of the fire god Agni. The fire god covered the body of Mother Sita, and in this way she was protected from the hands of Ravana. So this is the quote from the Kurma Purana, which Mahaprabhu was hearing. Maya Sita Ravana Nile Shunile Akhyane Shuni Mahaprabhu Haile Anandita Mane. Upon hearing from the Kurma Purana how Ravana had kidnapped the false form of Mother Sita, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became very satisfied. Sita lana rakilena Parvati rastane Maya Sita diya Agni Vanchila Ravane. The fire god Agni took away the real Sita and brought her to the place of Parvati, goddess Durga. An illusory form of Mother Sita was then delivered to Ravana, and in this way Ravana was cheated. Raghunatha Ashiyabe Ravane Marila Agni Pariksha Dite Yabe Sita Re Anila. After Ravana was killed by Lord Ramachandra, Sita Devi was brought before the fire and tested. Tabe Maya Sita Agni Kari Antardana Satya Sita Ani Dila Rama Vidyamana. When the illusory Sita was brought before the fire by Lord Ramachandra, the fire god made the illusory form disappear and delivered the real Sita to Lord Ramachandra. Shurina Prabhura Anandita Haila Mana Rama Dasa Viprera Katha Haela Smarana. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard the story, he was very pleased and he remembered the words of Ramadas Vipra. That's the Brahmana he met earlier. Esa Basiddhanta Shuni Prabhura Ananda Haile Brahmanera Stane Magi Se Patranila. Indeed, when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard these conclusive statements from the Kurma Purana, he felt great happiness. After asking the Brahmana's permission, he took possession of the manuscript leaves of the Kurma Purana. Nutana Patra Lekana Pustaka de Dioile Pratilagi Puratana Patra Maginila. Since the Kurma Purana was very old, the manuscript was also very old. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took possession of the original leaves in order to have direct evidence. The text was copied onto new leaves in order that the Purana be replaced. Patralana Puna Dakshina Mathura Aila Rama Dasa Viprase Patra Ani Dila. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu returned to southern Madurai and delivered the original manuscript to the Kurma Purana to Ramadas Vipra. Sitayaradito Vakhnes Chaya Sitam Ajijanat Tam Jahara Dashagriva Sita Vakhni Puram Gata Pariksha Samaye Vakhnim Chaya Sita Viveshasa Vakhni Sitam Samaniya Tat Purastat Aninayat. This is from the Kurma Purana. When he was petitioned by Mother Sita, the fire god Agni brought forth an illusory form of Sita, and Ravana, who had 10 heads, kidnapped the false Sita. The original Sita then went to the abode of fire god. When Lord Ramachandra tested the body of Sita, it was a false illusory Sita that entered the fire. At that time, the fire god brought the original Sita from his abode and delivered her to Lord Ramachandra. Patrapana Viprera Haile Anandita Mana Prabhura Charana Dari Karaya Krandana. Ramadas Vipra was very pleased to receive the original leaf manuscript of the Kurma Purana, and he immediately fell down before the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and began to cry. Vipraka Hetumi Sakshat Shri Raghunandana Sanyasira Veshe Mora Dila Darashana. After receiving the manuscript, the Brahmana, being very pleased, said, "Sir, you are Lord Ramachandra himself, and have come in the dress of a sannyasi to give me audience. Mahadukha haite mora karila nistara, aji mora gare bhiksha kara angikara." My dear sir, you have delivered me from a very unhappy condition. I request that you take your lunch at my place. Please accept this invitation. Manodu kebala bhiksha nadila sedina mora bage purna rapi pailunda rashana. Due to my mental distress, I could not give you a very nice lunch the other day. Now, by good fortune, you have come again to my home. Etabali se vipra suke paka kaila uttama prakara prabhuke bhiksha karila. Saying this, the Brahmana very happily cooked food, and a first-class dinner was offered to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Seira Tritaharahi Tandra Kripakari Panja Desha Tamra Parani Gela Gaurahari. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu passed that night in the house of the Brahmana. Then, after showing him mercy, the Lord started toward the Tamra Parani river in Pandya Desh. So, this is the section from this beautiful pastime. So, you can see how much he was absorbed that he did not even cook, because he was actually meditating, being in the forest with Lord Ram. And then Mahaprabhu advised him to eat, and then he was feeling this distress due to Mother Sita being touched by Ravana. And then at that time Mahaprabhu did not have the Kurma Purana. Of course, he is Krishna himself, but for the sake of pastime, he said, "Have faith in my words." And then just after that, he actually found the exact thing that he was giving the Brahmana justification. And then now we know why Vaisheshika Prabhu always asks for evidence, right? So he took the evidence and then gave it to the Brahmana. So, anything you say, you have to be backed up by scripture. So, and then you can see again another beautiful resolution where initially the situation seems contradictory or unclear. So you can see actually there are both things are resolved in this pastime. Why did Ravana touch Sita? And then the other is, why did Lord Ram put her to the fire test? So externally, again, this is why we need to hear from the Shastra, from Acharyas, because in India, people, even today they find fault with Ram's character, even though they worship him to some extent, but in the heart of hearts, they think Ram did a mistake by doing this. Again, especially the people supporting the women's liberation. Right? They have this tendency that, how can you do that? Again, they are like Hindus, but they don't have this deeper faith. So they get stuck at the material level, like we were talking about the material level. So for them, this is not acceptable as a religion. If this is what God does to his wife, I don't want to be part of that religion. So that is their application of intelligence. That's their application of being in the mental platform. So we can see, like now, since we have the proper information from Srila Prabhupada's books, so we know and we have no problem with what Lord Ramachandra does. So we have transcended that test, right? But the same principle applies. There are other people that get stuck in that test and they are not able to devote themselves fully. Again, some people, same issue with Krishna. Why did he kill Karna? Why did he do this? Like all this why happens at that level. But then if you see from Krishna or Ram's perspective, there's a much bigger plan which we may or may not know about. Again, sometimes it's revealed much later. Even to the Brahmana, it was not known, and even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked him to accept on the basis of faith before he could provide the evidence. And then later he actually presented the evidence and everything is resolved. Now we can see how these two completely different situations were resolved at a higher level by taking the Sita and just delivering through the fire in another place. So this is what Krishna consciousness is. Having that faith and trust that whatever Krishna does is good for me. I may or may not understand things at this level, and to the extent my intelligence and my mind helps me process it, I'll do that. When that fails, then I take shelter of the faith. That's why whom we take shelter of is important, because we don't want to, because there are also many people in India that are exploited, their faith is exploited because of so many false incarnations and people like that. So that is why the test is there. Whom can you repose your faith in? Because without faith we cannot advance. So that faith is those who follow the Guru, Sadhu, Shastra, that triangulation system is there. And Prabhupada has given particularly standard in ISKCON to follow. So all that is our, you can say, confirmation of whom we repose the faith in. And then when we place the faith, then things eventually get resolved for us. So just like the common people, they can't overcome this, but these are the beautiful arrangements by the Lord to enact his pastimes. By doing this, he's teaching many things. That's the whole point, because the whole point of him coming to this world is to reclaim us back. That means everybody will be in a different situation, in a mental platform, in different state. So that's why there are pastimes addressing everybody. He does so many pastimes and so many incarnations. Okay, even if you don't like one incarnation, at least choose another incarnation which you are comfortable with, but just develop some attraction. Then eventually when we come closer and closer, the other issues will be reconciled. So like that. So that's why everything is eventually reconciled. Why? Because the problem is actually in our heart. It's not with Krishna. Krishna is perfect. He is all good. So that part we don't have to worry or doubt. Any imperfections is because of us. Right? That's how the first verse of the Isha Upanishad says, Om Purnamada Purna. So we don't have to worry about Krishna's position, or is surrendering to the right God, or should we look for other alternatives? No. That decision is guaranteed. So now all imperfections, we have to see it as imperfections from our side, which is why Mahaprabhu advises us to be humble and tolerant, because just with those two, we can wait through the challenges and then advance like that. And then when we advance, we say, yeah, actually now it makes sense, like that. And then everything gets resolved eventually. And that requires some patience, and that's what the spiritual masters are teaching us. And don't expect the same easy test that a new devotee gets to be your test also, because you have crossed that point. So you should expect harder tests for your advancement. So it's not a double standard. it's what everybody needs, Krishna knows, and then he is helping us all move through this material tabernacle and come back to his lotus feet. So with that, maybe we'll take another 5 minutes of reflection and wrap up. Priya Charan, any thoughts, any comments? Rajapati, you are ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Thank you again. Brilliant as always. Expect no less from you for connecting so many dots, and eventually, the last pastime also kind of like, connecting the part of how so many different challenges are put forward in the lives of different devotees, and the Lord Himself orchestrates these in the lives of devotees, and so that they can advance. Beautiful message, and I was also reflecting upon Mother Sita, and this last Saturday we had a musical on Ramayana, which was on the whole episode of Agni Pariksha, and when she has to enter the fire, and Lord Ram is very, very critical of Mother Sita and speaks very harshly, or it may seem, to Mother Sita, and she feels so alone at that point of time, because this is done in front of all the Vanaras, all the Rakshasas of the Vibhishana, and the whole army, and of soldiers, and everybody's there, and in front of the whole audience, she feels, or so it seems that she's humiliated, and this is after she's waited for months to see her favorite Lord Ram, and he's speaking like this, but everybody's like startled by this, and eventually, like we read just now also, that it's the Maya Sita, and it's all the orchestration of the Lord, where Maya Sita goes into the fire, and then real Sita comes out with Agni, right? But if we don't have that perspective, it's so difficult to understand why Lord Ram is doing this to Sita, or why Mother Sita has to go through so much trouble, and after going through so much trouble already. Thank you for so beautifully connecting those with examples of Malati Prabhu or Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, and his disciples. It's just, we also go through these little Agni Parikshas all the time, and so amazing to hear this today, and gives us more and more faith that someday we can reconcile, and the Lord has a plan for all of us. So thank you so much, Prabhu.
Thank you, Rajapati, for the nice summary. Thank you. Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. Some of the points look like exactly what you wanted me to hear.
That's why I didn't look at you.
Thank you for the class, and jokes apart, one thing that I appreciated what you said was, like, when we have such conflicting situation where whether we should surrender, whether we should use our intelligence, when we are thinking, what you said, the thing that we should remember is, what is my mood at that point? Am I doing it in a mood of service, or am I doing it to prove a point? So that will make it clear. And even to do that, we have to be extremely honest with ourselves. Or we could think that we are doing it in a service, but within our heart, it might not be the case. So, if you want to really get to the bottom of it, even if we don't accept to others, at least to ourselves, we need to be thoroughly honest. Then we can take the right decision. Thank you so much.
Excellent. Thank you.
Last one. I'll take it, keep it short. Prabhu, I always appreciate how you can bring the whole philosophy to short and simple and just at a level that we can approach. You just break it down like a child. So I really love how you brought down that anytime you have a dilemma, the answer that you gave, like, are we meeting all the 4 principles? And there is never a situation that, will be not violating and still there will be something that will be there. So, and like Mataji was repeating that between service or is it for myself, that will make things clear for us. So, thank you so much, Prabhu. I'm grateful you're back. And we got to hear from you.
Thank you. So we can wrap up here. Jai Shri Ram, Jai Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Gurudev, Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan ki Jai, Shri Man Mahaprabhu ki Jai, Shri Shri Lakshmi Narasimha Devan ki Jai, Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol. So you can imagine how much nectar is there in Prabhupada's books, right? This all again, when you say all glories to Srila Prabhupada, this is what we mean. He is giving us the life. This is a real life. That's why there's so much here. We just read few pastimes, but imagine if we can absorb ourselves in this, then that's how we transcend other absorptions. Thank you.